We say every general in an army is a soldier. Everybody knows that unless you've been a good soldier, you don't get to become a general. But every soldier does not become a general. Now, after a soldier is elevated to the position of a general, his goals as a general change. What's his goal now as a general? Now that he is a general, his goal is to make sure that all the soldiers in the army become successful. So, picture this. You have your soldiers lying in a trench, firing away at the enemy across the border. And there is a general walking up and down, pushing his boys, cheerleading them, encouraging, motivating them to do well. And they love the fact that the general himself is there, pushing them to greater and greater glory. And then, while you're doing this as a general, you suddenly see one soldier in the trench not firing very well, or maybe firing very incompetently. The stupidest thing for a general to do is to jump into the trench, pluck the gun from the soldier and say, "Hey, get away, let me do it and show you how to do this," and start doing the soldier's work. Now, when you do this, what you have actually done is replaced one incompetent soldier with a very competent one. Oh, that's very noble, good. But look at what you have missed. You missed the victory. You have missed the motivation. You have missed the complete achievement of potential by the other 999 soldiers, right, who were depending on you as a leader. I was sitting through a meeting in a company where, after a heated argument among his team members and between the team members and himself, a manager suddenly said, Boys, guys, let's get this clear. Who's a manager here?" They all looked at him and said, "Yeah, you." "Me, right? So I am the manager, yeah? So let's get this clear. I am the manager. So I say, you do." Can we all repeat that, please? I say, you do. You know what he did? He didn't even go through the merits of the argument, of the disagreements that were happening in his team. He just got exasperated to say, "Okay, I am the boss here. I need to take control. So I dictate and you guys just go do." Now that is raw authority. When everything else fails, managers use this. They use authority. But a manager who is loath, a manager who is very reluctant to use his authority and every single time uses it as influence, is the one who wins. You've been made a manager because everybody in the company knows that you can do your subordinates' work well. You don't need to prove that every day to everybody. Letting the subordinate do the work in his own way takes a certain level of maturity. And as managers, we need to learn that when people are allowed to do things their own way, their motivation is naturally higher, rather than when you ask them to do things your way, or to tell them that my way of doing things is the only way to do these. The manager needs to become aware of a 3-step process while moving into a space where all his subordinates trust him. And he also enjoys considerable influence on the way his team members work or do things. Now imagine 2 circles, like in a Venn diagram. The first one, let's call it I space, where I know myself very well. And the second circle, let's call it U space, where I know you very well. I know your weaknesses, your strengths, where you're coming from, what do you love doing, and what do you enjoy doing as my team member. When the I space and the U spaces sort of intersect with each other, there is a common space here called the V space. And that space is a space in which you and I engage with each other for maximum benefits to both of us. Now, this is very difficult for an ordinary manager to understand, because what we are actually saying is that for the same task as a manager, the way I present it to go with person A in my team, who should be different from the way I go with person B, because my V space with person B is different from my V space with person A. Now, it takes a leader to appreciate that the V space with each person in my team is different by person. For a manager, we are all resources. For a leader, we are people. Everybody should do the same task the same way as I dictate and ordinate. That's what a manager says. A leader says everybody should feel comfortable doing the job in his own way that gives him maximum joy. If you compare all that we've spoken on how a manager performs and the leader performs, is it any surprise that people appear to hate managers? That people badmouth managers? We never heard people badmouth their leaders. The manager is easily insulted if you don't defer to him as your manager. The leader is sometimes not even aware that you consider him or her your leader. Today's corporate structures allow for people to remain individual contributors, or ICs as we call them, even as they climb the organizational hierarchy ladder. It's not essential for everyone to be a people manager. If any of the above goes against your beliefs, style, or capabilities, do us a favor and please do not agree to become a manager of people. By realizing your limitations as a people manager, you will be helping people when you opt to remain an IC. However, if you do decide to become a manager of people, progressing from being a manager to becoming a leader is entirely in your hands. We learned 4 things here. 1. Strive to go beyond merely being the custodian of your organization's resources. 2. Use influence and do not flaunt your authority as a manager. 3. As a general, your job is to make every soldier in your army successful and a winner. 4. Be very much aware of the V space that you can create with each of your team members. 4 surefire steps for a manager to climb the realms of leadership. Henry Mintzberg, who was once the dean of INSEAD Business School and an author, puts it very simply. If you want your people to do a good job, he says, give them a good job to do. Oh, that sounds very simple. The question is, good according to who? Obviously, the person who's going to do the job, not the manager. Think about that.